Good evening, it's Friday.
Woo!
Yeah, you excited?
Yeah.
Carrie's back again. And
Hi guys.
And we're doing stats, right?
Yes.
And she's always, I gotta like fit myself up. I need one of those, like those, you sit, that side's a little bit higher, and Carrie's tall.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tall people that work in this place. Unlike in the times past, everybody was 5'4" and under. But we're going to be talking stats, right, Carrie? This is an interesting time of year because we're coming up on home selling season. And if you've seen Carrie before, it's because we've done, you've done the stats on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And usually your numbers are going down, right?
Yep, every Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah. So
numbers are going down.
So anyway, you took a look at the numbers this week, and I know Carrie has some. Carrie started anyway.
Oh. Okay. It stopped calling.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Everything just happened at once.
Whew. Technical glitches. Anyway, we're just about to restart because we were getting a little notice that we were disconnecting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're back online.
Yes, we're back now. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions to ask you about the stats for January.
Yes.
I guess I'll just dive right into it.
Yeah, dive right into it. Let's get to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. So the average sold price is $684.
Right.
For January.
Yes.
It increased, but the sale to list price decreased.
Yes, the ratio.
Yeah.
The sales to the list price ratio did decrease.
Yeah, it's 95.8.
95.8.
Sorry for me.
She's just getting her bearings. It's okay. So 95.8 is the sale to list price ratio. Absolutely. That's an interesting question. And sometimes when we do these stats, we like to look at a couple of factors. Usually the volume of sales, and we'll get into that, which is not really too great. And she has the number, we'll get into that in a second. But, so we have a lower sample size. So when you have lower sample size in stats, one of the things we have to concern ourselves with is data, could data be accurately reported, because you could get anomalies could make a big impact on like a sales to list price ratio. So that's why we kind of delve into like volume of sales, because that's how we could tell whether or not homes are actually one home sale is going to impact the entire report.
Yeah.
So this is definitely an anomaly though, because like we said, it comes down to the sales to list price ratio not really lining up with the sold price increase. So there was a little bit of an increase in home prices, very marginal, probably about a little over like 1% month over month. It's a very skewed number. I wouldn't go by average sold price at this point to say that it's like an increase. It's anything significant from the month before, from November's numbers. Mm-hmm. But the sales to list price decrease is the real interesting thing here. So when we talk about the sales to list price increase, we talk about how much of a discount sellers are willing to part with when it comes to their list price. So their list price is obviously coming in at a rather high number. So list prices coming on the market, these new list prices are up considerably from the month prior and over the course of the year. Mm-hmm. We're at $795,000. So the average new house that's coming on the market is still coming up higher in price. So we really need to look at that and say, is that making sense to us? No. It means that the market hasn't fully comprehended that it's not going where people are thinking are going. Mm-hmm. So they're definitely having to discount to sell. Yeah. Which represents the 95.8% sales to list price ratio. Mm-hmm. That consequently is way down. I haven't seen 95% discount. It's at least 10 years. I think since the last time we were at 95.
Wow.
So people are really having to to say that it's almost a, is that 4.2%. So you have to give a 4.2% discount on list price for everybody that's sold in December. Now, to put that into context, these things usually report later than what's going on in the market. So as a trailing indicator, sales is a trailing indicator.
Yeah.
So you want to really concentrate on this being a 3-month window. So about 3 months, the average sale. I mean, they say it's maybe between 2.5 and 3.5 months. So about 3 months. So this is a snapshot of the market 3 months ago, and we're looking at it today. So, so at 95.8% sales to list price ratio, which is way down. So the market's definitely being impacted by interest rates, and I think that's it's consequential. And some of the other numbers you're just about to tell me.
Yeah. One thing I noticed that the sales price is higher this month than it was to the prior month.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more of a statistical anomaly. I think we're seeing for the first time prices are tailing off. So it is the second month in a row after 3 consecutive months of over 700,000. Staten Island has actually dropped below the 700 mark for the second straight month, and it's about 1.5% increase over last month, which could be more of a statistical anomaly than saying that prices are going up. The trend is down. So if you were to look at the graph and you say to me, Anthony, where we think things are heading, I still think that there's some downward pressure on the market currently, but that's changed a little bit in the last week, and I'll get into that later. I'll tell you what's going on. I'll give you a synopsis of how to kind of interpret all this information. So when you put it to the sales test, the way we go into market, we'll put some things to the test.
Yeah, another thing, the average new list price keeps increasing, but all other indicators are pointing to a downwards market.
Yes, it's not something.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. We touched on that earlier. So we do want to emphasize that homeowners are consistently, they're delayed. It's like a delayed response to the market. It always happens. There are many downtrends in markets, especially in real estate. People are not used to downtrends in markets. So it's if you look at over a span of 30 years, you may have 4 specific spots in 30 years that you have like sales numbers or prices decline at a certain rate. And I do believe at the end of the day, we're rather mild here. We're not talking about something that I see as a big chance there's going to be a drop in sales. But the problem is that the average new list price being at 795,000, which is a record. That is a record record amount of sales. It's a record amount of sales that have new listings that have come across at this number. It's phenomenally high, and with the sales to list price ratio increasing, this is really saying that a lot of people are kind of falling out of the realities of what the market's going to permit. They're still in the idea that they could win the real estate lottery by overpricing the house, which is not something that I would suggest.
No,
that number is coming up, and if you keep watching, there's a number here that's going to be a little bit of a shocker for everybody.
Yeah. So there's a 15% difference in new listings from last year than this year. Yeah, last year it was 477. Now it's 405.
Right. Okay. So this is
another
big thing is that, which is why consequently I believe home prices are not going to go down anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because it seems that many people are waiting on the sidelines Consequently, this is a time where you get a much more increase in new listings, but you're not seeing that right now. You're seeing homeowners kind of draw back in the idea of selling, which is creating a kind of downward pressure on the market. I would say a downward, I would say an uptick in the market and prices, meaning it's a stabilizing factor. So when you don't have increases in inventory, what you need to look at is, are you actually getting, are you getting people on the market that are going to be competing with each other for a lower price? So it really is important to understand that the supply-demand curve takes a precedence here. The supply side is definitely squeezed to the point where I don't see home prices really accelerating downward. That may change and this is where like the interest rates may play a role, is whether or not we're going to see like defaults. Because one of the things with these adjustable rate mortgages, it's like, is it or isn't it going to impact the person's ability to pay? I just watched the report on CNBC this morning. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. It's almost at the $1 trillion mark. So $1 trillion is a record in credit card. We have some really structural issues like that. It's puzzling and perplexing to do numbers based on, because there were so many artificial things in place. It's really going to be a lot of these things. It's like they could expose different cracks and fissures within the economy, and we have to really look at that and say, how does this play out on Main Street, especially in housing? It has not shown. It has not shown up yet in the numbers to any real large extent, but it can. And I think there's some things we need to really watch out for. The Fed is going to be increasing rates for 2 straight months. That does not mean that mortgages are going to increase. So I think people need to separate the two. That's based on the 10-year Treasury. It's not based on what the Fed states, although it does have some ancillary impact on interest rates overall. But it does on credit card debt, home equity lines of credit, credit lines all being impacted by consistent push of the Fed rate. So, but it's not necessarily impacting mortgage rates to the degree people believe it is. We'll have to see how that plays out. But the average sale price going on the market is a record of $795,000. You have that in the bank, Carrie? I know you do.
I wish I did.
At least you know it's not student loans. At least not yet.
No.
Yeah, you're going to be graduating. You graduated technically.
Yeah, I graduated, but I walk in May.
You're going to be walking with one of our other employees.
Yeah, I can't
We have
wait for that.
two College of Staten Island alumni. We have someone, our first intern from FIT in Manhattan, right?
Yes.
She's actually manning the live today, and making sure everything's online. But well, let's get on to that other question.
Yeah,
back to real estate.
Yeah. So I want to know what you think from this. The sales listing price a year ago was $452. Now it's $249. That is a 45% difference. What do you?
They add the sales. Sales.
Sales listing price.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the sales price.
Sales price.
Yeah, it's a sales price. That's okay. Sales price. The sales in general. So the 452 to 249, that is a substantial decline, which is the biggest thing we need to report today, is that we are substantially, that is at 249, it is the lowest number of sales in a month, and probably since 2000, I would say about 2010. So 2010 was the last time numbers of home sales reported this low,
That was-
which was a shocking, a stunning kind of, when the numbers came into me and I looked at them, I almost had to do a head scratch that, because I haven't seen numbers under 300 in quite a long time. And last time I saw 249 home sales within the MLS that we are operating in, which is Staten Island, and it does cover some of Brooklyn. That is extremely low. That's a very, very low sales number. Representative of a very, very weak. I mean, it was a brutal November. It was a pretty brutal early December and a pretty brutal late October. Those months really saw a precipitous decline in sales pending contracts. Something that probably the new agent in this market probably hasn't seen in their career. It's not like there's many. I'd be considered a dinosaur, folks. This is like year 18 for me. So I lived through the last crisis, and to see when you see numbers go under that 300, under really 250 is really like, I call it the Mendoza line, which that's for an old baseball person. They'll understand what that means. I'm not going to explain it.
Yeah,
But well, you know, yeah, that is way before your time. But the Mendoza line, but it's 250, but that's 200 in baseball. But for real estate, I do look at the 250 number as being a pretty significant number to be really looking at, because when you see 250 home sales in Staten Island as a whole, you're looking at numbers that haven't been seen in about, we're going to say at least, last time I saw it was at least over 10 years ago.
wow.
So it's we're really ranging low. That's on home sales. So that represents a 45% decline in home sales year over year.
Almost 50.
It's scary.
Yeah.
You do these reports and it's like, you know, you could literally look at these reports and it's like, whoa,
I know.
could that be the number I'm looking at? We do these all the time and you're like, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're actually translating that data and it's not the most pleasant thing to look at. But what I'm going to tell you is that you should not be considering that as these big correlations between looking at the home sale number, but also looking at the inventory, which now is approaching a little over 6 months of absorption rate. So you have two different situations, even though the number's that low. Two very different situations that played out like 2008, 2009, 2010, which was like the bottom of what I call a bear market. It was like a 3-year.
It was worse than this year?
You know, is it worse? You know, price-wise, it's not. They're two very different factors that play in the market. It's a good thing that you pointed it out, because there are two very different things that in play for this market. One is that having an impact? And the answer is, like, does that have an impact of what I've seen then till now? The answer is that there's inventory is the key here. So like the amount of homes that are for sale in both markets have really shown that they're not similar. 3,000 to 4,500 houses were on the market during the last dip.
Okay.
Now it's about 1,300 houses on the market in this dip.
Wow.
That is almost three quarters less than what it was then.
Wow.
And without supply, there is no decrease. So that's why people are they're kind of like expecting this huge drop. The real thing is whether or not we look at affordability of the people that are actually existing in these houses are actually running into affordability crisis because of other factors: credit card debt, adjustable rate mortgage debt. It can play a factor maybe in the long term with inventory numbers, but the jobs number is not too bad. So unless you have and there's been some announcements of layoffs, and it's been a little bit it's been a challenging job market. even though it doesn't report that way, they report it one way for some reason. It seems much different on the street, especially when you talk to people, you know, who we talk to on a regular basis. Like finding something is like actually not that easy now. It's like, you know, when you work at the mall, it's not like they're hiring, right?
No, places are closing instead of hiring. Yeah.
That was the biggest trend. I mean, you were in the retail sector, so you see a lot of activity.
Yeah.
What have you noticed in the last? Have you seen a steep decline from like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago till now?
Yeah, the mall's like dead almost every day. It's on Friday and Saturday. I mean, it's okay, but it's not like how it used to be.
Yeah.
And I've been at the mall for 3 years, and I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it, yeah.
No.
This dead? Yeah. So you actually you're saying dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, could you go like an hour or two without somebody?
Oh yeah, in my store we have gone like 2 hours without someone buying anything. Like, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And what do you think that is?
Prices are going up.
Yeah. People have disposable income. What do you think that's a? You want to shoot it at that? It's not like. It's like you stay there for the discounts, according to according to my last word.
Yeah.
So,
I never said that.
I'm sorry. That's right. Someone we're gonna get her in trouble. No, she likes the place. She really does. She's a good worker, so.
Yes.
I like it.
Come visit
So,
me.
I just gotta figure out why, like, in these cameras, like, I look like I was in the sun and I haven't been in. This is January. Why am I like?
Well, the sun's been out for like
I know,
2
but
days.
I don't know what's happening in the sun.
I don't know.
I gotta get some people in the sun over here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the big thing is, the year-over-year decline in sales is palpable. 45% is pretty significant,
Yeah.
and that's a head scratcher there. You don't want to see that. Last year, just think about it. There was almost 500. There was 450 sales, and this year there's only 200, less than 250.
No,
that's a number you don't want to see.
Incredible decrease. Yeah.
So you're going to see. I mean, it's not a great thing for the real estate community. It's a painful pinch. Fortunately, actually, we've been on the upswing for months now. So it's like we've been actually experiencing a very good market, at least here. But I can't say everybody's experiencing better things out there. It's tough. It's a challenge.
No, yeah. I mean, it definitely seems like an issue to me.
And I think that's what you're going to actually ask me when that's the next question.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw monthly sales under
255.
255?
Yeah, like I said, it's been 10 years. So 10 years of watching this, again, kind of rehashing this again, and I kind of went ahead of that. So the big thing is that you should know as homeowners that there are statistical anomalies that do exist in markets like this. So I want you to be very, very careful. I went over two key points within this summary, which is the average house going on the market being 795,000, which is meaning that people's expectations are a little overvalued. Now, I want to say this for the record, though. When you have low inventory markets like this, you can have very anomalous sales. So there can be a high demand location house that really changes the value of the house substantially. So it's like, this could mean a big difference in, like, a house could literally get sometimes 4 to 5% more than what the average sale would look like in the neighborhood, even in this market. So it's like, I think people really need to keep that into perspective when they're doing this. So you should have someone that's pretty knowledgeable about what they're looking at when it comes to putting a house on the market, because it's not really something that I'm telling you is an easy guesstimate at this point. So there's a lot of there's Zillow and things like that give estimates. Guys, this market's even more, there's more variables to the market in price than at any point in the last 10 years. So you could have a substantially high variable in a house where it just doesn't get the traffic, and it's a miss on the price. And location-based factor could be the difference between someone getting sometimes as much as 10% more on a very similar house square foot wise. So it's like it could matter very substantially by block in a low inventory situation, depending on the appeal of the house. And it's not like, some house would gain that kind of appeal where people are bidding. We just were involved in a bidding war, Angela in the office, on a condo in the Oaks of Ladderette. I mean, it was priced at $480, and the final price there was almost 500.
Oh wow.
30, yes, 530,000.
530.
No, 550.
Oh wow, so 480 and
They bid up to 550 on the house, on a condo.
Wow.
And it was like, how does that happen? So there are anomalies in the market, and you have to the real estate person needs to understand what parameters you're working around. And I do think there's a lot of things, whether it's be appropriate marketing, things like that, of a property that will enhance the value a little bit more or less than something that's not been properly marketed out. But this market has a lot of little nuances to it that I would really pay attention to if you're making an independent valuation, prior to actually going on the market. So we need to look at this and say to ourselves, let's see all the factors, and let's see how the market behaves with a specific house. So some price testing, some things like that, maybe in order for certain kinds of houses, because again, like I said earlier, it's a very low inventory situation. You may hit a very high number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. And also there is a 2.5% difference from last year's average sale to list price. So last year it was 98.3, now it's 95.8.
95.8.
Yeah.
This is that sales to list price ratio again, which is the percentage of a house, the percentage a house will get on a discount based on the sales that have happened. So a sale has to happen. What happens is when it's reported in, the final sales price is going to be reported to MLS, and the difference between the list price and the sales price will be what we call the sales to list price ratio. Again, the difference is 2.5%. So sellers on average are giving about 4.2% of a discount on the sale of their property to move it. This is not, that in itself is a leading indicator that has been on a decline now. This is the lowest number, at least on this. So we do a 2-year run on the data we have in front of us. Last time I saw it 95 again was sometime in 2010. So it's not even
on here.
Yeah, it doesn't even make the 2-year mark. So this is substantially lower than if you said to me it was the January surprise, that was a January surprise. A 95.8 sales to list price ratio is considerable discount that I haven't seen in quite a while. But again, the average new list price is up substantially from last year and the years prior, which is really a correlation and difference that the market isn't responding to people's prices. So they're having to discount their house when it goes up. And that's not something you want to do. Don't be a trailing person in the market. Trailing. So when I talk about trailing, I'm going to get into we're just going to sum this all up, so kind of like bundle it up for you guys, so you kind of like get an idea of like the holistic market is and what you should be doing if you're going to be selling. Here's the thing. I don't see prices based, and you go back into, if you go to YouTube, I've been doing stats now, this is about 13 years running, almost every month for 13 years. So if you go back into our YouTube channel, you'll actually see us talk about stats.
When it was under.
Yeah, when it was in the 255s. And I blogged about it before I was on YouTube. So I do have a very very broad look at markets, especially real estate markets, and like what are the nuances between each of these markets from doing it for so long. So I do tell people when they're looking at these things, I know these chairs are hard. That's gonna be the improvement. But what I'm trying to say is, you're going to get to see like where experience matters in this business, because when it comes down to pricing structures and understanding not just the market being up or down, how markets and how consumer behavior will impact the sale of a specific house. And this is why I try to tell people, look, all these things, there's so many factors involved. This is your equity of your house. You need to be very, very, very discerning about who knows what they know and who don't know what they don't know. And just go along with like, news reporting is not in depth enough to understand the nuances to these numbers. So understanding like, what are those leading indicators? What do they suggest? These are broad-based, and I always say this is more surgical because of the amount of inventory that's on the market. You want to be more surgical about how you're pricing things than if you were to just run out there and say, well, here's the assumptions, here's the data, here's the comps. Guys, this is one of the things that I have, fortunately with experience that I've had, I could basically go into a house and know whether even the comps make sense for it or don't. And in this market, you having comps and like comping a house, and sometimes there's too much weight placed on comps solely, because there are nuances to a specific house that are just, the volume of sales is not really picking up enough data, I feel, in a lot of cases, that would help know if a house was going to move at a certain price. They have to have an understanding of what that market is shaped up to be, and whether or not you're within the fold of where a house should be selling for. Yes, based on some comps, but based on the understanding of what the leading indicators are going to suggest. And getting on to some of the lead ratio, it's going to pop in and it's probably played havoc with our feed. There's a whole bunch of.
That looks like.
It looks like Johanna.
Yeah.
She's actually probably on the road. Hi, Johanna. How are you? So the big thing is like, is it a seller's market or a buyer's market? And by the standard we have today, it's not either. It's basically you're stuck in the middle. It's about a 6-month absorption rate, maybe a little closer to 7 now with the sales going up. But I'm going to tell you this, the rate sensitivity in the marketplace is so profound. So rate sensitivity, when we talk about rate sensitivity, it's like how quickly the market responds to rates it's phenomenal. So like you get this really wild, swings in the market, which is not something most people are common in real estate, who are common to real estate or understand real estate have ever seen before. So we will see things that will happen in the market that are absolutely very like strange. So you'll see like there'll be weeks where you'll have extremely high activity and then weeks where it completely drops off the cliff.
Yeah.
And it could be based on a 0.25% rise in just mortgage rates. And this is why people who are doing this, timing this out, and we've had over list price houses still selling in this market. And if the market shifts quickly back where interest rates are not accelerating or not going higher or even dropping, you may have a situation where you're losing out on a market that's not as bad as you're going to assume it's going to be. But, and the last thing I'm going to leave you with, you buy in the market, you're selling it. So there are no real true winners in the game of the place you're going to live. Okay, so let's get that clear. So you're going to buy in the same market. So the discounted rates here, from here to New Jersey, from here to any other place in the country is going to be substantially less or substantially more depending on the macroeconomic situation. There may be some other microeconomic situations in neighborhoods, but that may influence price. But in general, you are buying in the market you're selling in. and you need to really reflect that in your, unless you're buying in Florida, which I heard is still impossibly difficult to find a place in that market. So Florida is it's as hot as the weather. So you know, but it has dropped off some. So I think the hottest areas are like to the south, West Coast, East Coast of Florida, Orlando markets, and like the central part of Florida. Typically, what I call more transitional markets.
Okay.
So they won't. So when your parents bought a house, it's actually like a very good market, close to the ocean.
Right.
Close to the ocean, the less the volatility, and that's how it goes. Many people go there for vacation purposes, not going for their primary residence.
Yeah.
Right. You went to Florida, and now you loved it, right?
Oh,
Would you live there?
I would live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta open an office over there.
She wants to be 10 minutes from the beach at any given moment.
Who doesn't?
Well, you could go right down to Great Kills.
Oh, yeah, I'll get sick.
It isn't that bad. Come on. But anyway, it's important to understand all these factors. And if you're in that process of whether you're thinking about selling or buying in the market, you give us a call, and we'll obviously advise you further as like where to go from here. What's the options? Where should you look? Where shouldn't you look? But make sure that you're getting the right advice. I mean, go through these reports. We actually, if you go to our YouTube page, you can actually see a history of these reports running. Like, just feel free to leave a comment or a suggestion in one of the many messaging apps we have available on these platforms. Yeah. So, goodness, my wife is away in Florida. This is a tough Friday. I haven't had a Friday like this in a while. Alone.
The weather was so nice. Now it's raining.
Yeah, it was perfect for me, right? So I guess for a Friday it's gonna be a Netflix night. I don't even know what the heck is everything good on Netflix.
Yeah. Right now I'm watching You.
Oh my god! I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I'm watching that too.
Oh yeah.
That is an absolutely insanity.
I love the show.
Well, that's scary. So if anybody doesn't want to know anything about, well, we can do a little banter here. The Netflix show is You, and he's like a serial killer.
Yeah, but he means good.
Wow!
No.
Carrie's shocking me.
No.
So I guess I'll be finishing up. I think it was on. I don't know.
It's a
good
series. It's a good series.
You know me. I'm like, I don't sleep. They told me Dracula. Speaking of Dracula, Yona actually got it right.
Yeah.
Let's give her props to that. I said that. I said Transylvania. She found out is in Romania.
Yeah, she was right about that.
She was right, and I said it was Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fictional, fictitious or fictional, right? Is it fictitious or fictitious? Come on, you just graduated. I've been out of college for a long time.
Fictional sounds right.
Is that right? Do you know if that's right?
It's fictional.
Is it fictional?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Fictional. Oh my god.
You guys are supposed to get this right.
Right.
I've been out of the game for a while. I'm at my Red Bull. Somebody had me up very early in the morning today, so I lost my sleep.
Very important.
I need my sleep to keep my bearings clear. But the big thing is with the markets, if you happen to be on Friday, catch a You episode. It is definitely, I caught my wife, how I wanted watching that, if my wife was watching it. And I was like, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The guy has quite a dating life.
Oh, yeah.
But
when he doesn't like her anymore, he just...
It's pretty scary stuff. It's not something that I would think. And you know what the funny thing is? It is, I feel like you're watching it, my wife is like, why are girls watching stuff so...
Girls like that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like
it's brutal. Guys, this is not... So if you're watching and you're taking any recommendations, it's not kid-friendly. Just so you know, it's very gorish in the sense that it's like, it's not...
Yeah.
something that I would like recommend kids to see.
No.
But it's definitely,
not.
it's interesting.
No, yeah, people like it.
You want to get into the mind of a psychopath, right?
Yeah.
Wow, scary.
I don't know. It's a good show. Definitely watch it.
Definitely watch it. Also, to check out the social media. You know what they are, right?
Yes, our TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook,
Right.
which we're on. But we have another page that you can check us out on
Yeah,
Facebook.
we have the 2 pages. So we have
Yes.
two. We have 2 Facebook pages.
Yep.
One for New York, New Jersey, and one is the regular corporate one.
Yeah.
So, all right. So with that, it is a Friday. We hope you enjoy your evening, and we look forward to another run at this in another month.
Yes.
And Carrie's getting her feet wet in the arena doing lives.
Yeah. It's fun. But
Yeah.
I'll see you guys next month.
She's ready to get the hell off of this thing.
No.
She's like,
No.
Anthony, end this thing already.
No.
I'm only kidding. So we'll see you next month. I'll see you next week. Next week. And we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yes.
Enjoy your weekend. Have a good night.
Have a good weekend. Good night.